Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to a very, very special night tonight here on the Master and Drum, one we've been talking about for a little while. So glad to have everybody here tonight on this Whiskey Wednesday live stream with the legend Nancy Fraley, who will be bringing on here in a little bit, who sent me 10 samples, 10 very scary samples, which I'm going to be trying soon along with her. And we'll get into exactly what's in these samples here in a little bit if you did not read the description. But on top of that, I couldn't be more excited to be a part of tonight. And thanks for all the support and everybody this week. Everybody looking forward to this live stream. Anytime you have Nancy the Nose Fraley on, it's a very special evening. So looking forward to it. In the meantime, I already have the first 4 samples that she had sent me poured and ready to go. I'm not playing around tonight. This is going to be awesome. And again, we'll get into it. But also a big part of tonight is the donations to Lifeline of Ohio. And I'm going to run the sticker down here on the bottom. Now, if you look in the top of the chat, there is a link there. And we're going to be, I have about 10, 11, 12 different bottles here that we're going to be raffling off here tonight. In support of Lifeline of Ohio. We will get into exactly what they do, why it's so important to me, and to a couple of some very close people in my life. So, which is why I wanted to do this tonight. So we'll get into that a little bit as well. But before we do that, of course, I got to say hi to some of you folks. Let's see who's in the chat. We have some pretty early chatters in here. 96 Millie Man, he was ready to go early. Sugar Kitty is here. We have Nolan Wren. Mark S. is here. 4-Leaf Whiskey, what's going on? Stacy, nice to see you as always. William Wiley is here. Nancy is lurking in the chat already. There she is. She's already ready to go. We have Robert S. here. What's going on, man? Yes, it's going to be an amazing show as always. Ham Turkey. Yo, it's going to be a top 5 stream. I could feel it. I hope so. Robert S. is here. Top 5 gangster movies or ice cream? Well, you know what? I think I'm going to do a little top 5 with Nancy later on, so stay tuned for that tonight. Andrew Bergstrom is here, hoping to get my hands on both Ben Holiday picks. Oh, yeah, you'll definitely love those. So Master Drum Whiskey Wednesday, says Joey B. Stephen Walt is here. What's going on? Justin Jenkins. James Lay, it's going to be badass. It is going to be badass. Let's see. Isaac Camacho's here. What's going on, Isaac? Nice to see you as always. We got Whiskey Dirge here. Good evening, all you wonderful whiskey people. Russ L is here. Anthony Locklear, we have Bo's Wine Guy, we have Travis Robeson, we have Josh Fritz, we got Dr. Spettis here, Trevor Kunkel, nice to see you, buddy. Ford Michael is here, we got Michael Speakerman, Mark Hoyle, Roy R. Does Cocktails is in the house tonight. KCD is here, JG, what's going on, Jay? A-Brod is in the house, we also have Patrick Relic, hello, Jason Nancy, thanks for making Still one of the best on the shelf. Oh, Still Austin, I think he's referring to. That's awesome. Jay Gons is here. We got Jeff Perkins in the house. Joe the Sample Guy. Katie Turk is here. Taste and Sensibility. We got Ford Michael and a bunch of other people coming in. Eric Farr says, I'm finishing up the gym. I can't miss Nancy. All right, there's just a lot of people coming in here. So I will catch up with everybody as soon as I can. But before we get started, again, guys, I just want to... Gary Franchi is here too. What's up, Gary? Love Gary Franchi. If you guys have not heard of Lifeline of Ohio, basically what Lifeline Ohio does is they support a variety of programs and services that help donor families educate community, improve donation processes, bereavement services, donor memorials, community outreach, and also donation costs. There's a lot that goes into it. Essentially, the reason why we're doing this fundraiser tonight is for this little guy. This is Jack, and this is my girlfriend Kim. That was her nephew, and unfortunately, he passed away. It's been a little while. It's been a long time since he did pass away, but since then, his little tiny organ helped save a life. So. What we're doing tonight is, again, raising money for that Lifeline of Ohio to help families kind of not only get through a tough time like this, like losing the cute little Jack that you see on your screen, but also making it easier for another family to have a life saved if, God forbid, something is wrong with that family or somebody within that family needs, an organ. And I've been part of the Lifeline walk pretty much each year. We just had it in July. I had to miss it this year, unfortunately, because I was away. However, little guys like Jack is what we raise the money for, and other family members are in need that may need some donation help. So tonight's donations are all going to go to Lifeline of Ohio. You could click that link, and that little picture of Jack, when you click the link, it will take you to Jack's Pack. That is who you're making the donation as part of your. That's what you're doing it in lieu of. So the donation will go to Jack's Pack. You're kind of doing it on his behalf, and I can't say how much I appreciate it. If you guys do decide to donate, you will be in the running for one of these beautiful bottles. So tonight, I have bottles in here like the 2023 Shanks, which is one of my favorite bourbons last year. We have one of my Nashville Barrel Company picks, pulling the rabbit out of the hat. Let's see, what else do we have? We have my Copper and Cask single barrel that I just released last week that sold out, so that's going to be going up. This is a pretty cool bottle. I was just at Bardstown Bourbon Company. This is an exclusive blend that Bardstown Bourbon, you can only get it there. It's a small batch stay finish that they created. It's super sweet, super delicious. They were kind enough to donate this bottle to the cause, so somebody very lucky could get that tonight. So yeah, we'll put your name in the running for that if you choose to. Basically, any amount of money will get you one entry. If you donate anything over $25, we'll give you 2 entries. And then we'll do a little bit of Wheel of Names at the end of the show tonight. Other bottles in the mix is one of my favorite Russell's Reserve single barrel picks. This is a Warehouse K, all wrapped and ready to go. We also have a Starlight Rum Finish collaboration with its Bourbon Night. What else do we have here? We have a Fiddler Toasted Rye Whiskey, which is really delicious. This is my last one, so I figured I'd throw that in the mix. We also have a donated bottle from 21090. It's actually the rye single barrel that they selected. Figured it was fitting with Nancy being on tonight. We also have some $25 gift cards from Drifting Drams for their coffee and their amazing blends that they do. So a lot of things for you guys to win in the mix tonight. So make those donations, and we'll get going tonight. It's going to be awesome. So, all right. Let's see here. Some tasty pours. Ryan Cecil is here. Been looking forward to this all day. All right, Ryan, I know you're ready. The link be pinned in the chat, but I'll also drop it randomly. Thanks, Whiskey Mountains. Appreciate that. Thank you so much, Audriana. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, not that she needs an intro, but I'll give her one anyway. Nancy Fraley is one of the most world-renowned blenders, master tasters, consultants all throughout the world. Not only is her expertise wanted in Armagnac, cognac, bourbon, whiskey, whatever it may be. If you don't know if your whiskey tastes good or not, just call Nancy. She'll tell you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Well, welcome back to the show. It is the amazing, the incomparable Nancy the Nose Fraley.
Hey there. Hey.
How we doing, Nancy?
Doing all right. Yeah, happy to be here. I've really been looking forward to this episode and nervous too.
But so Nancy, why don't you set this up a little bit? Why don't we kind of, I don't know, unveil this whole idea a little bit? Because, you know, I was honored enough to get the email from you, but I think there's a really cool opportunity tonight to taste through all these different batches. But I know you had a specific goal in mind, a specific mindset. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, sure. So, you know, I've seen a lot of, you know, reviews, I guess, over the years. And you know, there's a lot of misinformation out there. I mean, whether or not someone likes a bottle is, you know, that's not, you know, that's a subjective thing, of course. But I guess I've been wanting to clear up misinformation and to also just, you know, kind of let people see how just a Magnus Cigar Blend has been evolving over the years, and to, you know, for it to, you know, kind of come from the horse's mouth, as it were. I guess but I've also been wanting someone, not just me to tell people what they're tasting. I want somebody to view it objectively, if that makes sense. And
Yeah.
and I knew you were the man for the job, so.
Well, I appreciate your confidence in me, but I think what I took from that is you want some honest opinions on some of these blends, and I think I know some of the misconceptions that are out there, some of the different reviews and stuff that people have been talking about, whether it's older whiskey, newer whiskey that are in these blends now, in the future, what's been happening, and why, while there may have been some ebb and flow here and there, it doesn't really. I think tonight could be a good indicator of where we are with all these different blends, because we have, as you see on the bottom of the screen, this is Nancy Fraley sent me 10 samples. So this is 4 of them, and here are the rest here, all kind of lined up, ready to go. And basically what we're going to do is taste through all 10. She chose 10 batches, all between batch 1 and batch, 300?
323.
323. So from 1 to 323, she selected 10 from those batches, and we're going to see how much variance, how much differences there are from batch to batch. Do I feel some are a little bit maybe not on par with some of the others, and see exactly where they fall in the grand scheme from 1 to 323. I think it's going to be a fantastic experiment, and I know I'm a little nervous about it. I think Nancy's nervous about it too, but we're just going to drink this stuff and we're going to see where everything falls. It's going to be great.
All right, let's dig in.
All right. So, okay. So let's start with number 1. We're going to dive right in, guys, here. We already have 374 people watching. This is awesome. Thank you so much, guys. And again, if you're just joining in, we have a bunch of great bottles that are up for auction tonight. Just click on the link, make a donation, and your name will get inserted into one of the chances to win. Ryan Cecil from Bourbon Pursuit, he was kind enough to just donate a bottle of their Pursuit Double Oaked, which is one of my favorite double oaked bourbons that I've gotten to try this year. So, all right. Are you ready? Here we go. Okay. All right. Kate Baker says, now I'm excited. Michael says 10 samples. Looks like another fall off the chair tonight. I promise I will try not to fall off the chair.
Try not to do that tonight.
Yeah. Please no. Okay.
Okay.
So batch 1 to me, or number 1, sample number 1. I can't say batch 1 because it's not batch 1. Or is it? I don't know. We'll see.
Or isn't it?
Yeah, sample 1. Jeremy Arad with the first super chat of the night. Nancy's bunny talent is a sign that God wants us to be happy. Oh, I love that.
Love it.
Nancy, you might need to make that into a T-shirt or something. That's awesome.
I love that. I kind of filed that up. Memory. Have you moved on, or are you still on number 1?
I'm still on number 1. I'm just trying to get kind of a baseline here. I've been sipping some of the batches that I have personally for the last few days, just to try to, get my palate into it and try to really fine tune the differences. I tell you what, though, Nancy, that Darth Vader batch that you created is something. That thing is something special.
Yeah, that's.
I only have a wee little bit left, but I savor that stuff. All right, so the first one to me is already a little bit more on the savory side to me. Not so much sweet. I get a little bit more savory.
Savory
Spice. Almost picking up a little bit of like an allspice. Slightly floral to me. But again, this is the first one. So I need to I'll go back through these just so I can once I read that a little bit. Oh buddy, I can't wait to see how you end up tonight. Did Nancy help with the Rye 3 cigar series? I don't know if you did.
I didn't, but their master blender, Matt Wetzig, is a student of mine. So,
Yes.
yeah, we used to work together at Joseph Magnus in Washington, D.C. So,
Yeah, I've had the pleasure of working with him, here and there. So we've done a couple of picks together, which has been great. He's a really good sounding board. He definitely kind of gets into the way you blend a little bit. So I like that. All right, I'm going to go to sample 2.
Okay. And I'm just taking some notes too, just so we can kind of go back and.
Oh, sample 2 to me has like a rum characteristic.
Oh, that's interesting.
Very sweet. Also very I'm getting a lot of spice on this too, though. Man, what is that? There's something very distinctive here. I don't know if that's kind of like a sweet tobacco note I'm picking up on this. Trying to taste some different cigars. Think about how they're smelling. Oh, that's good. Yeah, a little bit sweeter for me on that one. Compared to number 1, at least on the nose, I'd be curious to see what that is like on the palate. Let's go to number 3 here.
Okay.
TV Yankee fan, click the link in the chat on the top. It's pinned. So 3's nose to me is a little bit more muted. I'm not getting as the big flavors as I was getting in number 1 and number 2. It's a little bit
more muted. Okay.
Yeah. But definitely, this is probably the most dark fruit out of the first 3 that I'm picking up.
Yeah. I would definitely, and there's a reason behind that, but okay. I can't tell you right now. But yes,
I feel like I'm really getting the like a little bit more of the Armagnac, grapey, maybe sherry influence here, almost like a raisin chocolate. I'm really digging it might be a little bit more muted off the bat, but once this thing really starts going, it's really kind of in my wheelhouse right now. So love it.
Nice. Okay.
Jeremy Era, Jason is facing the final tasting boss tonight. Nick Poles is here. Keith Smith is here. Nancy is the GOAT. Yes, she is. We got 21090 is here. Guys, thanks for donating that bottle tonight. Appreciate it. 397 in the chat. Thank you guys so much.
It's beautiful.
All right, let's go to the last one here, which is number 4. Dark fruit, sample 4. Oh. This one to me is, oh man, what is that? What is that dessert? Oh, it's like a blood orange creme brulee to me on the nose.
Yeah, that's to me very fruity, and I almost get something like hops in it too. Which I know sounds kind of weird, but
yeah. So orange blossom honey immediately went to my mind because it's orange, it's slightly floral. Hops is actually a really interesting call out because I don't know, you just kind of disassociate like beer from what you're smelling, and that actually makes a lot of sense with that floral component.
Yeah. That's I don't know if you've ever had a whiskey distilled with hops in it.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, it's kind of I totally like that. But
God, that orange blossom honey to me is so strong. I love it. There's also like a slight mintiness to this too, a little bit. That's nice. That one might be the most. If I'm just going off of like what I usually pick up in rye, usually a rye forward whiskey will give me those orange flavors, and But this is kind of a deeper, richer orange to me, which is nice. I like that one.
Yeah, I totally can see that. Let me ask you before we go on to anything else. Is there anything you can tell me maybe where you think the proofs of these fall? Kind of,
off the nose.
Well, or have you tasted yet?
I haven't tasted yet, so I'm gonna run through these. I'm gonna run through these quick now. Yeah.
yeah. It's okay. I'll wait until you do that.
I could kind of live in the nose with a lot of these blends because they're so good. Wow, the first one, I got so much deep, rich Armagnac influence. That was like grape, chocolate, a little bit of that almond, like almond butter note, that almond like nuttiness that it has. That's number one. Yeah,
nuttiness. Yeah.
What's that word that you look for in a good Armagnac? I know there's like a nutty profile that you look for specifically.
It's called Rancio.
Rancio, yes.
Yeah, Rancio. So it's cognate with the English rancid, meaning, I mean, it doesn't mean it's actually rancid, but what it is, it's the oxidized esters of fatty acids.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what I'm looking for. That's what I'm trying to develop when I develop a cigar blend. Is I want that note in particular. I'm not saying I always achieve it, but that's why I do the Armagnac cask finish with that.
Yeah, one has a lot of that. When I just took the second sip, more of the chocolate, more of that grapey, almost that Armagnac funk that it has. I love it. Number one is already killer for me. Not so savory and spicy on the palate. I was getting on the nose. You go back to it and you get all this rich fruit, all these fruit components.
Yeah. Totally see that.
Okay, 2 for me. Less punchy with the dark fruit. Not as much, not even close as much dark fruit as number 1 to me. This is already fascinating. We're only 2 in. This one has like, this is going to sound weird. Does it sound weird if I say it tastes like autumn leaves smell?
No, that's
is that weird?
that's not as weird at all to me. Yeah, I totally see that.
There's like an autumn, there's like a wet autumn leaves thing in here. That's, I don't know, it's like bringing me back to my childhood a little bit, which is kind of interesting.
I love it. Yeah, that's.
But there's some nice sweetness behind it. Again, fruit forward. I do think there is I was getting like that kind of that rumminess on the original when I first nosed it, but I'm not really getting that as much on the palate. I think it's a little bit more savory on the palate than sweet now as I taste through it, which I kind of like. It's a nice opposite from what one was. Ernest Peacock says, $5 here, Jason Nancy. I'd like to donate an Old Dominic cast strength first release. Oh, wow. Okay, Ernest.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
cool. Awesome. I'll get you in for that one for sure. Let me write that one down. So, Ernest Peacock is an Old Dominic cast strength 1. Thank you so much, Ernest. That's awesome of you, man. All right. I need a little bit of water here. Thank you so much, Ernest. We also have Old Fashioned Ways Plus. Both of you rock. Thanks for an amazing live, for a great cause. Hope you get to try the Vader batch one day. Oh, I hope to try the Vader batch one day. Old Fashioned Ways. You know what? Email me for $25 super chat. I'll send you a sample, man. Just email me at themashanddrum@gmail.com. I'll send you one out.
Yeah, I'd love for Doc to be able to try that one. That's Yeah,
that's
personal faves. I have to.
right.
I'm a
Yeah,
little biased, but
I hear you. I hear you. But that batch is, I'm so happy. You don't know how many stores I called, like in New York, where I was from, just everywhere I could find, anywhere that I knew that had Joe's Mag. I'm like, do you have this batch? You have 58. I'm like, look for it. And then, yeah.
then it showed up.
I found it. And I was like, it was a little bit upcharged, but I was like, I don't care. Give me it. So. All right, number 3, which was on the nose, very rich and dark fruit forward. So I'm looking forward to trying this on the palate here. Oh my God, it's like blueberry pie. What the hell? Where's ADHD whiskey just to come on and say blueberries? That's what it reminds me of.
Exactly. That's
my goodness gracious. It's like blueberries and cream. In the best way possible.
in the best way possible.
Wow, it is so dark berry forward, just like the nose is. I mean, you can go, depending on your palate, what you're sensitive to, you can go blueberry, raspberry here, blackberry, little hint of, what's that flavor on the very, almost like a brandy on the back end too of this one.
Yeah.
Which I really like. You really get like that Armagnac cognac influence. That's really nice.
Well, actually, and I'll be talking about it later when we walk through, do the reveal, but it's not from that.
Okay.
So stay tuned. I mean,
color me intrigued.
That would be the logical reasoning, but behind it, if you didn't really know what was really going on.
Oh man, that's awesome! I can't wait to hear like what are these blueberries coming from, and the snozberries.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. That 1 and 3 are up there. Those are so good. All right, let me go sample 4 here.
Okay.
Oh my God, Nancy, just like the nose, this is so orange. I just got like a key lime pie, like crust on it. Orange zest. This is definitely the most rye forward for me out of the 4, at least, unless you're going to tell me it's coming from some other crazy place. But I feel like that 36% rye in there could be making its presence known. Yeah, a little bit more savory here. I almost like getting like an orange. It's like that orange and like almost like a little bit of like a chili pepper on the very back end of that.
I definitely could see that.
There's this little hint of like a. Oh my gosh, that one, I don't know. That one it's so different than the other 3, but unique in its own way that it's just really, I don't know. It's standing out in its own way. I dig it.
Yep. Yeah, that one will be very interesting to discuss too.
Wow.
Why it is what it is.
So much orange, chili powder, almost a little like hint of a barbecue smoke on the back end of it too. Like a sweet barbecue smoke though.
Yes, okay. And I know where that's coming from as well. All right. Yep. Okay.
I'm glad you know, because I sure as hell don't know what's going on. Holy crap. Okay. All right, so let me you asked me about proof, right? What do I think is the highest proof here?
Yeah.
Man. It's tough though, because you know how it goes. My heart wants to say a certain one, but my brain is going to number 4 because it's so spice driven and it's got this really spicy finish where I'm like, but is it the highest proof?
But exactly. That's highest and lowest at this too. And I mean, you don't have to, to tell me exactly what you think the proofs are, but just, what you might see as the highest and lowest.
Ooh. Number 3 might be sneaky high. Or unless it just has a really long finish, because the finish on 3 is awesome.
Okay. So you're saying 3, or out of these, that 3 has the highest proof?
You know what? I hate to be the homer here, but I think the highest proof is number 4. I really do. It's drinking the hottest. It's got the most spice. I'm going to say number 4 is the highest proof out of the first 4.
Okay.
Because it's really leaving a big spice punch. Getting a little bit more of a punch of ethanol here, but it's really kind of intermingled with all the all like those honey and orange characteristics, and the oh my goodness, that little hit, that chili pepper note is just killer. Okay, now lowest. Gosh, 1 is dangerous. 1 is so sweet and delicious. You could kind of drink that just all night. You know what? I might say 1's the lowest.
Okay.
If it's not, it certainly drinks that way. There's so much sweetness and that nuttiness that it has. If it is high proof, it's just kind of mitigating the ethanol and just making it really flavorful. Because there's it could drink hot, but sometimes if it doesn't drink hot, it's still the highest proof. It's more flavor than it is heat. But for me, number 1 is actually coming off more of the. It's just a little bit more tame than the others. So
okay.
I'll go with number 1.
That's fair. That sounds good.
Okay.
All right. And shall we dig into the next ones, or?
Yeah, I think let's pour the next. So we have, what do you have? 6 left.
All right. Yes.
All right. I'm gonna do the next 3. So I'm gonna do 5, 6, 7 next.
Okay. Yep. Yeah.
And then in the meantime, I would like to. Lance, put me in for an Augusta Old Route 8 bottle donation. Okay. Thanks so much, Lance. Lance, you the GOAT too. Thanks, man. All right, Lance. Lance is in for an Old Route 8, which is, I believe that's Barton-sourced single barrels, which can be really good. All right, so I don't want to mix these up, so I'm going to put these here. Now, while I was setting up these, I do want to ask you a question.
Yeah, sure.
And I don't want this question to be, it's not meant to be offensive, or I don't think offensive is the right word. I don't want this question to make you angry because it's one of those questions where I think it's something that a lot of the, bourbon nerds, bourbon fans talk about from time to time. And that really gets into almost the bastardization of the cigar blend, cigar batch type of moniker that we see. It's almost become its own marketing term. There's really not cigar blend, cigar batch doesn't have a legal distinction to it. People just kind of run with it. They kind of make whatever they want. And I think you've had this conversation with the guys from Bourbon Pursuit. So Ryan and Kenny talked a little bit about this. And I really want to kind of talk about the genesis of what started Cigar Blend, because it never really was supposed to be kind of this finished product that you ended up creating. It ended up being that way because you wanted to model it after an actual cigar blend or cigare blend that's pretty available, or what they create in France. So I just want you to kind of get kind of tell that genesis a little bit and tell us
Yes.
about where it actually came from? Because I'm not sure a lot of people have heard this.
Well, and I guess on my end, I don't want to piss off any producers.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's not that it's a bad thing. I just think like the road that Cigar Blend took is because, again, you created something that obviously was widely popular. It was amazing, delicious. Obviously, we're tasting through 10 different ones tonight, but everyone kind of took their own take on it. And while that could be a good thing, it never really ended up being what you intended.
That's an excellent question, Jason. And so, I think well, a lot of people know. I don't know if everyone knows that my initial production training was in the world of brandy, and I worked at a company or distillery that was founded in California by a 10th generation cognac maker who came to California in 1982. His name was Hubert Germain Robin. So my initial production is, and brandy essentially, and not to segue too much, but most years I go to France to study with other master blenders and distillers and all to kind of hone my craft. So when I created the Joseph Magnus Cigar Blend bourbon, I didn't, it was one of those moments where I was not consciously trying to create something, if that makes sense. I was just on my deck, but behind me, I've got redwood trees around me, and I've been a pipe smoker for about 35 years, and out one night and drinking some William LaRue Weller and Stag and some of my old-time faves, and nothing was really doing it for me on the bourbon side. And I've been a vintage Armagnac collector for years, so it just it kind of dawned on me, what if I kind of like mixing chocolate and peanut butter together. What happens if you kind of combine these tastes? And it really dawned on me, well, that really works. And the next thing I know, it was like on a Friday evening, and I called. I live on the West Coast. I called the owners of Joseph Magnus, and it's like midnight their time, and it's like you'll never. I got out graduated cylinders and pipettes and everything. You'll never. Came up with, and they didn't really understand it. But anyway, kind of moving on. The whole thing was to create a bourbon, because I work with bourbon. I don't work with brandy anymore. That it's kind of like an homage to that old tradition of cigar blend cognacs that have been around for 30, 40 plus years. Like a homage to my mentor. And when I worked at Germain Robin brandy distillery, we actually made a version of a cigar blend too. And so it was kind of like, like an homage. But the thing that I kind of want to emphasize too is, kind of getting back to, the whole, do I think it's bastardized? I think a lot of American producers don't really understand what it is and respect the history behind it, and why. I didn't do a triple cask finish, and eventually just kind of gravitate more to an Armagnac finish just to do a finished whiskey. What I'm trying to replicate is that very thing that you were talking about, is Rancio, the oxidized esters, the fatty acids, which you find a lot more in brandies, because there's a lot more fat in grape, and so working with bourbon, the only way that I could really kind of get that note that I was looking for was to do a cask finish.
Okay.
and it was never intended to become this, bastardized thing of 1 billion different cask finishes or whatever. And so that I kind of and I quite honestly, I haven't had that many cigar blend bourbons or ryes because I'm a little afraid to do that.
Well, I mean, I get that part of it. It's almost like you're like cheating on your own children, all the stuff that you've created. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And so it kind of what I don't like, and oh boy, I want to really be careful, what I say here, but it worries me that the category, and it's not even a legal category, of course, but that it's kind of bastardized and turned into something that it's really not, and done to, just kind of gimmicky sometimes, and that there are times, I kind of feel like I created Frankenstein. I did not mean to, do that. And I think too that people are naming it this and that, cigar batch, cigar cut, cigar. It's the proper term is a cigar blend, because it's in the blending that you really create, what this thing is supposed to be.
Yeah, and I think that is the point that some people miss, because I was hoping you would say that, because I think that's the biggest difference between what you create and what some other folks create. I mean, nothing against against what some of the other folks create, because I've had some good things called cigar blends, cigar batches, which is maybe just a different finish. It might be an Amburana in there. There might be a blend of a couple of other different finishes that you don't use. But really the beauty of it is the blending part of it. And I don't think people realize exactly what exactly goes. It's not just taking 4 or 5 barrels, with different finishes and blending together to try to find that best makeup. What you're doing, I mean, you created a Khmer, you created this mother blend that's a piece of all the different ones that you've been evolving over time. You've had to switch. You've had to switch different sources of what you're using in it. You've been MGP, Barton, back to higher rye MGP, like all the different components that you've used over the years. Different types of Armagnac, port, cognac. I mean, all the different things that go into it, I think, is what people tend to miss sometimes. And I think in a weird way, does it become a little bit of a bastardization, because it's almost a simplified version of what you're doing. So I get that part. Yeah.
Simplified version of what they're doing in France, because what they're doing is it's all about distilling on lees, and that's the the yeast and such, and it's a much more a very conscious thing of from the very beginning, when the grapes are still in the vineyards, as it were. And so, I almost feel like what I do is a bastardization, and much less anyone else.
So, but at its core, like, a cigar blend isn't really meant to be ultimately cask finish. It's really distilled to get those fatty acids that the fatty acids and the esters that you're looking for. Correct?
Exactly, and the oxidized esters of the fatty acids are what give you that rancio note, which tends to pair very well with the cigar. And so cask finishing is not what a true cigar blend is really about. And again, the only reason I did that was just to kind of use the brandy influence to replicate what I thought I could using bourbon. And so it really and I wish I have no control over any of this, but I have a very deep respect for the tradition that I came from, the brandy tradition, and centuries old. 3, 4, 5, 6, 700 years old, actually. And and I've studied it in depth. And do I, the products I make, do they exactly replicate that? Well, no. I mean, I do the best I can, but I guess what I really don't like seeing out there are just kind of these, I don't know, it's gimmick. It's become gimmicky, kind of like a joke, and that's very offensive to me. And God, I hope it's okay for I just said it.
No. I mean, I could see that. I mean, it's one of those things that you created, and yeah, people are listen. All distillers want to make a buck. I get it, and they're trying to cash in on like a different way of doing a cigar blend or cigar batch. It is what it is, but ultimately, it comes down to how it tastes, what everybody tastes, and what they like and what they don't like. So, but ultimately, I think you will always forever go down as the mother of the cigar blend, at least when it comes to a bourbon perspective, kind of being the transcendent one between what they did in France into U.S. bourbon wise. But so, yeah, I mean, what do they say? Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, right?
Yeah, well, and that I that's not lost on me either.
Yeah.
Too,
yeah. All right. I want to thank Andy Bolgiano. I will donate a Middle West pumpernickel rye single barrel to the cause tonight. So thank you so much. Sean Dent came in. Special thanks to Jason for suggesting my intro. WT Long Branch is a new 3 years ago. My buddy pushed me further down the rabbit hole when he gave me an earlier batch of cigar blend. Thanks, Nancy. Absolutely. I do want to call out my buddy Toshi Bake here. Well, we have Connoisseur Cigar, Eric's Magnus Cigar Blend, and Mary Hill Special Blend number 4 are two of my favorites. Thanks for your amazing work, Nancy. Bourbon Hall, Nancy is like Oppenheimer. Oh no, I crease this. What? Here's Toshi Bakes. Cheers to great cause. Toshi Bake throwing in $100, dude. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. Let's see. So, real quick, I do want to ask you, and this is probably a quick answer. I'm assuming you went with Joseph Magnus because they had a lot of stock. Was that really the only reason why, or was it the variety of stock that they had at that time?
Oh, they didn't have anything at the. I mean, the beginning didn't have. I was part of that process along with the late great Richard Wolf. Former general manager of Buffalo Trace. He was very instrumental in getting that early stock. I went with them because when they called me, they presented a challenge that they wanted me to reproduce this bottle that had been passed. I know it's a great grandpappy kind of story, but it is true.
Yeah.
Great grandson had never even heard of his great grandfather before. And when his mom died, he was cleaning out the closets and found these two bottles. And started doing research on the family and history and all. And kind of fast forward, he wanted me to recreate using 21st century tools at hand this bourbon that his great grandfather created in 1892. Which here's another point. The only reason I did a sherry finish for the triple cask Magnus, the kind of the main flagship brand.
Mm-hmm.
Because I found sherry influence in that bourbon from 1892. Oh,
okay.
The distillery coincidentally opened in 1892, and this whiskey that they had, bourbon, tasted like it was somewhere between, I'd say, 10 to 18 years old. We couldn't exactly figure out, and it had a sherry taste to it. Well, if his distillery opened the same year and he had old stock, obviously he didn't distill it. Well, what is just downriver of Cincinnati? What is now the MGP
Yep.
campus.
Which I a couple weeks ago finally got to visit, which was one of the highlights of just being in the bourbon game the last several years.
That, yep,
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Yeah,
Oh my gosh! Like complete Willy Wonka moment, a peek behind the curtain. Yeah, to see how industrial that place is, but exactly how much whiskey is being pumped out of there was to see that in person was insane. It was incredible.
Well, and that was founded, it was 1857, 58, if I recall. That would have been enough time for them to I mean, what the only reason too that I sourced from MGP and didn't we actually did start distilling in house at Magnus, but it didn't taste. It's what was distilled in house didn't taste like what the original 1892 product was. So I kind of thought there's a very good chance that they were sourcing this and just shipping it up the river.
Mm-hmm.
So that gave me historical permission to source from MGP and to use a sherry cask. Now the cognac cask element of that product is not historically correct. It's just what I did to kind of more closely approximate what the original product tasted like. And we found records from when they shut down the distillery in 1917. Mm-hmm. They were selling off sherry butts.
Wow, that way back then in the late 1800s.
Yeah, well, in 1917, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so you were able to track. Man, talk about history over hype. I love it. I love how you kind of took that deep rooted connection to not only what you were creating, but I don't know. It almost. I don't know, man. That I give you a lot of respect for doing it that way because it does show you. Yeah, it shows the love that and the respect that you have for the initial product and the history of it, rather than just putting something together. So,
well, that's what we intended. I took that stuff really seriously, and
sure.
People that didn't do their research. Gave us a lot of flack for that, and it's like what we have the historical precedent behind it, and so
let's do it the right way. So yeah, I just think as somebody who is like a bourbon history nerd, like history over hype to me is the most important thing. So I love that. All right, before we get into 5, 6, and 7 here. We have already raised close to $2,000 already. I'm getting updates here, so guys, thank you so much. Keep doing those donations. Again, we have a Shanks tonight. We have a Nashville barrel pick that I did. We have a Copper and Cask pick I did. A Russell's pick I did. We have a Bardstown Bourbon Company distillery only exclusive in the mix tonight. We also have a couple of gift cards from Drifting Drams Coffee. We already have a donation from Bourbon Pursuit in their double oak bourbon. We have an Old Route 8, and we also just got a Middle West Pumpernickel Rye cast strength pick. So a lot of great bottles in the mix tonight. All you got to do is throw a donation in there for a good cause, and we're gonna keep trucking along. One quick question. This might be a loaded question for you because you probably have a million different brands in your mind. But I thought this was kind of cool for anybody looking to get into the brandy Armagnac cognac space. As someone like many others who can't get their hands on a Magnus Cigar Blend at a reasonable price, how about some recommendations for brandies, Armagnacs, or cognacs? If you had to pick a few, what would be the first off the top of your head, Nancy?
Yeah, you bet. So if you're looking for a like very traditional, I'll go with the cigar blend cognac on that. To start off, Frapin. XO Cigar Blend, it's FRAPIN, is distilled on lees. It's it has that fat in it. I mean, it's about as traditional as you can go. Martell cognac also has an expression. There are a lot of expressions out there for cigar blends, but if you're looking for that kind of note, that's a good one. And the thing about Frappin is it's at a really good price point, and you can find it in the United States. I think Total Wine, does that too. Good Armagnacs, if you're kind of looking for that Armagnac-y, that prune note, that kind of nutty almond kind of note, Delord Armagnacs.
I was hoping you'd say Delord because I'm a big fan of that Armagnac personally, for sure. Yeah.
So the producer there is a friend of mine, of course, because I go over there a lot with him, but again, his family, but that's a solid one. Also, the de Rose line of Armagnacs, Chateau Millet, that's MITT, or excuse me, MILL. Anyway, Millet. I'll explain later. I'm having a little brain freeze. But they're the de Rose, Delord, Chateau de la Baude are all really good ones. I mean, there are so many good ones, but I'm trying to think of the ones in the United States that would be, you could easily find here.
All right. Well, hope you guys wrote all those down because that was a lot of information. So you can always watch it back. All right, let's get back to the samples here. Batch 5, 6, 7. Let's see what we got here. So batch 5. Ooh. I'm just for the sake of time, I'm gonna taste them too. So
yeah. That's good.
That's another spicy meatball right there in a good way.
Yeah, and that's very minty and like a Andes kind of
Andes candies.
Yeah. Or
I got the chocolate, I got the mint, I got the spice, but I also get this might be really weird and really specific, but I always get like a sage leaf in that one too.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, kind of like a savory type of
Yeah, maybe it's not. There's like a savory makeup to it, but there is a nice underlying sweetness that I'm finding as well. Like right on the back end, I feel like there's some burnt sugars in there too. It's a really nice balance of sweet and spice. This is how I like my Joseph Magnus's right here. I like it when it's spicy, but I also like that sweetness. Sometimes I like it to go down the road when you have a lot of like the raisin and the heavy brandy finishes and the Armagnac and the cognacs, and you have that really dark, rich fruit forwardness to it. But generally, if I could find something that's balanced like this is where I love the Magnuses to be right here.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I should stay mom, but I like this one a lot.
Yeah, I like this one a lot. I'm actually getting a little punch of like a bright fruit. I don't know if it's like a strawberry. There's something right in between that's this bright like pop of fruit right on the mid palate, right before all the spice kicks in. There's this really nice just burst of fruit flavor, and I want to say strawberry, but I'm not sure if that's what it is. Man, that's good. That might be the most balanced out of all the ones we've had tonight so far. That's really good.
Okay.
Yeah. I like that a lot. Man, and the finish on that is, what batch is that one? I need one. Hopefully it's not like batch 10. Wow, that's good. All right.
All right.
Let's reset here. Okay. Let's go into number 6.
Okay.
Prozac with a cool question. What's the oldest spirit you've ever tasted, Nancy?
As far as distillation date or actual age of the spirit?
That's okay. We're going. I don't know. How about one of each? Both.
The oldest that I've ever tasted is from 1875, I think.
Wow.
When I was at Germain Robin, we had some of that. Actually, in my Armagnac collection, I've got the oldest bottle I have is from 1892. Now, the oldest, as far as maturation time that I've ever had is from a 73-year-old, which I just had back in April when I was in France again. So that's maturation time. It was laid down in 1951. So those are really fascinating. I have to say. Really fascinating. But in my personal, some years ago, about 10 years ago, for some friends, I did a tasting at my house called 3 Centuries of Armagnac. It was 19th century, 20th century, and 21st century. So that was fun. and it was fascinating to see how the actual distillation styles changed over time and fermentation and all. But anyway, I'm sorry I geek out on this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to even figure out oh my God, the flavors you tasted in those must have been crazy. All right, so sample 6. This one is a curveball, Nancy. This is funky. Funky.
Funky, yeah.
This is the is that blue cheese? What's in here? This one is funky. This is some old funky dark fruit, cheesy. What the hell is this one? This one threw me for a loop. As soon as I tasted it, while you were talking, I'm just looking around what the hell is in this glass?
So I purposefully wanted to add.
Wow.
I know there were some batches that people weren't that fond of, and I didn't want to just add things that I thought were great. If that meant, I wanted the truth in there. If that makes sense.
Yeah, this one I wouldn't consider a favorite. It's got a funky cheese, almost wet cardboard thing going on in the back end of it. That is making it slightly bitter. The balance, the dark fruit, the spice, the citrus. It's it's trying to punch through, but then that funky, cheesy, wet cardboard note on the back end just kind of kills it.
It tastes like, to me, dog shampoo. I'm in the practice of
do you taste dog shampoo?
I've got a dog, and bather, and it tastes like that shampoo to me. It's
oh man, yeah, that one is weird. Coming off the other ones, I'm not enjoying that one, Nancy.
Well, I had to be, I wanted to be honest, if that makes sense.
The finish on that. What's the nice way to say it? Earthy? Is it earthy? Is it?
That's
is it like furniture? It's like furniture polish. What is that? Oh my gosh. It's there's that is so sometimes even today, Nancy, you might. I'm sure you come across this too, but I'll do single barrel selections. So my group, we're up to about 130, 140 single barrels that we've selected over the last several years. We've run into barrels like this in the modern day that has it, and it could be a young whiskey, could be an old whiskey that has this type of finish. And as soon as I taste it, it just throws me for a loop.
Then it also I get in addition to the dog shampoo and blue cheese, I also get in the over general funk. I get something that tastes like artificial peach or something, or strawberry, or some kind of like very artificial fruit.
Mm-hmm.
If
it does taste a little artificial, almost like that. What's that stuff? Like the aspartame, like
yes.
that fake sugar note, right?
Right.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that a little in this because it just like makes you pucker a little bit. It's just a very funky batch. Yeah, not my favorite. All right, I'm immediately going to number 7. All right, here we go.
Maybe a water rinse.
Oh yeah, let me do a little water rinse here. Smart. Oh, Nancy keeping me honest. I love this. Okay. Just so you guys know, I am every now and again just smelling coffee beans, which I know it's kind of a ubiquitous thing that sometimes you go to distillers and people use. For me, it actually does really work. It works better for me personally than just the arm reset, which a lot of people do. Coffee beans for me work really well for whatever reason. I think it's paying dividends, I think, tonight, because I'm being able to pick out some of these different notes in here. It's definitely helping. So
yeah, that makes sense.
Pepper Jack, the link to donate is on the top of the chat on YouTube. But if you're missing it, Whiskey Mountains, I think, could throw the link in the chat so you can see it. All right, let's go to number 7 here. All right, number 7 is way more promising. I'm definitely taking number 7. So, I mean,
I'm so not offended by what this just no, I wouldn't have put that last one in there if I wasn't ready for a little flogging, if that makes sense.
Yeah, Aaron C. I know I've seen people do the armpit reset. I'm not doing that reset. No. Okay. All right, now we're talking, Nancy. Sample 7. Oh, man. I need another sip of that because I'm still resetting from the last one.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, man. I almost get like this coconutty grilled pineapple thing happening.
Yes.
What in the hell? Where does that come from in the world of Armagnac? And oh my gosh.
Well, coconut is from the in American oak. It's from the
oh my god, it's so coconutty to me now. Like toasted
in the oak. So it's from you've got a cis isomer and a trans isomer from lactones, which is the fat in the oak. So the cis isomer is where you get that coconut note, and it's very prominent in here. I mean, it's kind of like copper tone suntan lotion. I mean, in a good way.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, almost like that fake like Malibu coconut rum like note. That smells and tastes like suntan lotion. Like I get it.
And that I also in this one, and I don't want to lead the witness here, but I get a lot of kind of like banana ester in it too. I don't know if you get that or not, but it's more like banana foster or something.
Yeah, I could see the banana in that now that my brain is kind of, because the first sip, the coconut note to me was pretty heavy. So. But as your palate settles in, I could definitely see the bananas foster note. It does come off like a little bit of like that rum-soaked brown sugar, bananas foster. That kind of, I don't know. It's man, that is rich. It's almost, in a weird way, it's kind of like the bananas foster pancakes, like over pancakes, which is kind of good. Throw a little shredded coconut on there and some rye spice. Oh man.
Yep.
But
Yep.
Again, this one still though has the spice to balance out the sweet. I don't think the balance is still as good as sample number 5.
Okay.
But I can appreciate the flavors in here are really unique, and I love that. I have a batch of that this reminds me of. I don't know if it's that batch. It'd be amazing if it was. But I have a batch that this reminds me of called I think it's called the Pirate's Cask that you did. It's batch.
Ooh, that's been a while ago.
Yeah.
What's that batch, 25 or 26?
Yeah, it's in one of the 20s, and I still have that batch. And this is kind of reminding me along those lines where it has the coconut, the almost kind of like the rumminess, the brown sugar. It's really good. I dig that one a lot. I love when Magnus goes that way sometimes.
Yeah, that's and there's some genetic similarities between those. That's all I can say. That.
So you're saying Nancy had an off batch, Jason? Yeah, I actually am.
Not an off batch. Just the components were what. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So we have 430 people in the chat tonight right now watching. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you for all the support. I'm getting updates from my girlfriend's brother, actually, who's helping track the all the donations for little Jack and Lifeline of Ohio. So again, thank you so much. We're almost at $3,000, which is just incredible. Thank you guys so much. We have all these great giveaways tonight. So we're going to keep this going. All right. So 5, 6, 7, anything you want me to pull out? Any other questions you have about these specific 3?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, yes. And
okay.
Do you find any like any jump in proof or I know number 6 was funky. I mean, yeah. Yeah,
that one is funky. Yeah.
But do you outside of that one, do you notice any like a higher proof or anything kind of? Do you have anything of note?
There's as much as I love the balance in 5,
mm-hmm.
It does come off softer next to number 7. So the difference between 5 and 7 to me, you have kind of a subtle balance in 5 where you have these really nice spicy sweet flavors. When you get to 7, the coconut, the banana, the almost Bananas Foster-esque flavors that 7 has, there's definitely a higher proof point that's coming off to me on number 7 versus number 5. They're both balanced, but 7 to me has more proof and a little bit more punch in the on the palate. So
that's. I mean, I'm not going to confirm or deny either way, but
not confirming or denying. Maureen Frederick says drinking a 1966 Armagnac, so I fit in with tonight's tasting. Damn, fancy Franchi. Yeah, fancy Franchi is keeping it fancy. Always love it.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. That's right.
My heart is with you on that vintage Armagnac. Love it.
I'm running out of paper here. Okay, I got more paper.
We're on our last.
All right, so last 3.
3, yeah. Okay.
Let's go here now. I don't want to misplace these.
Yep.
All right, here we go. I hope you guys watching have been enjoying this. Watching me go through and painstakingly tell Nancy Fraley that I didn't like sample 6.
I put myself out there.
That was like my worst nightmare come true. I'm like, I hope we'll have to tell Nancy that one of her blends, I can't stand it, but it happens. Oh, man. Okay. But this is why you asked me to do this, right? You knew I was going to be honest.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. That's
okay.
All right.
All right, let's get these poured. All right, so last three guys, sample 8, 9, and 10. All right. Ooh, these suckers look dark. Holy crap! Look at sample 9, guys. Look at this. Holy hell!
Yeah, that's.
I can't even see that. Did you sneak the Darth Vader batch in here? I'm gonna go. I'm not saying it is.
My lips sealed.
Holy crap! The Electron Cloud says, "Hey, thanks, Jason. Just made $100 donation. Keep up the great work." OHIO. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate that. Again, all going to Lifeline of Ohio. So thanks, guys, for little Jack. Okay. Just a couple of whiskey nerds spitting hot fire, drinking epic cigar blends, and supporting a great cause. Definitely going to have to listen to this again, says Brian H. Yeah, holy hell, that's dark, says Richie Z. Yeah, that is dark.
Isn't it? I mean,
that is dark. So somebody had a question before we get into these. I'm gonna let these open up for a quick second. Somebody had a question earlier, which I thought was really cool. Have you, before you landed on those 3 specific casks for cigar blend, has there ever been a part of you that wanted to maybe use a different cask or try something else in your cigar blend, or has it always just been these 3 because you put so much time and effort into those 3 specific finishes?
That's an excellent question. And so I feel like that, not that what I do is a traditional cigar blend. I mean, in the most traditional sense, but I feel like for this product, I want to keep it as close to the traditional or the tradition, that's been around. And so, no, I've not wanted to kind of mess with it, if that makes sense. I mean,
I totally get it.
if anything, if I didn't have to use a cask finish to get that Rancio note, I wouldn't do it. I just wouldn't use cask finish at all. But that, for other products, I feel free to play with, but not for this one. I just kind of feel like, I want to kind of honor what it's trying to replicate, or be a, the old tradition that it's part of. No,
I think from your, just from the stories that you've told tonight, you're a traditionalist, and I think that's what makes it cigar blend. So I definitely appreciate that. Let me see. This is a kind of a cool question. So I don't know if there's a short answer or a long answer for this, but if there is a spirit that got you into whiskey bourbon, that got Nancy to doing this, what was it? Or even a better question, was it the history of spirits going back to those 1800s, or was it something you tasted that sparked your, path down, this transcendent whiskey journey that you've been on over the last several years?
Yeah, actually, it's I was but both a brandy fan and also a Scotch fan, but also a tequila and mezcal fan initially.
Oh, okay, mezcal, okay.
And bourbon, I love bourbon, but I'm my favorite spirit in the world is probably vintage Armagnacs. And I kind of feel like, the bread and butter in the United States, if you want to make a living, you've got to, work with bourbon and rye. And not that I don't love those, but I often talk about that I make bourbon and rye the French way.
You do. You're the only person I've ever met that has taken the Texas whiskey funk out of Texas whiskey, which is amazing. So I went to Still Austin finally, and we chatted about this. I was at Still Austin. Several months ago and got to try some of their amazing single barrels. And my goodness gracious, Nancy! So this was also a funny story, real quick. I went in there and I thought the still was named after you because they call it Nancy, obviously. but it's named after it's named after the main character in the Attack of the 50-Foot Woman, who was named Nancy. So I thought that was kind of a cool story. If anybody has not seen that still at Still Austin, it is literally 50 foot tall. It is long. It makes such an elegant spirit, especially for being in Texas. And what you're doing there has been just, I think, completely. It just flipped Texas whiskey in their entire, maybe that predisposition that people think Texas whiskey has, and just flipped it on its head. It's just like, I never thought a Texas whiskey would have like a butterscotch bomb of a single barrel. And I'm going to tell you right now, when our single barrel comes in, that butterscotch bomb cask, I'm buying a case of that shit. It is so damn good. Butterscotch is my favorite note in whiskey, whether it be on the nose, whether it be on the palate. If it's both, I love butterscotch. I love toffee. Like, those notes to me invoke kind of a 1980s, 1990s bourbon vibe to it. But if I could get it in more of a modern whiskey, I love it. And I got that with Still Austin, so for sure.
Well, thanks. And just a quick blurb on that. Head distiller John Trappell and I took him and the CEO of Still Austin, Chris Seals, and some of my other mentees to France back in April. And we deeply studied how to, I was talking about tasting 73-year-old Armagnac. Well, what we were trying to do was to study how you achieve that, how you can mature for that long. So what we're working at Still Austin very, very consciously is to design bourbons that can age, 10, 20, 30 plus years now. And and employ those ancient techniques, and the past is the future, man.
Oh man!
In all seriousness, we're using this ancient technology to kind of recreate things. So what's being laid down now is very different, probably what you tasted. But
for sure, yeah.
It's to really have a very long maturation life, and so we want to show the world. We'll see if we can achieve it, of course, but you can age for a long time in Texas.
Yeah, I think I think Texas whiskey, that is where it's at right now, is what Still Austin is doing. Not only is it an amazing distillery, the whiskey is great. I actually just got this bottle. Wanted to show you this one. You probably know this one very well. This.
Oh yeah.
This is one of the most amazing finished. Yeah. This is one of the most amazing finished bourbons I've had. Actually, I'm sorry, finished rye I've ever had. This is a Madeira finished rye. Look how dark that is. And if you guys see this, it comes with a tattoo. You can actually tattoo yourself. So that's going to be a lovely tramp stamp later on. I'm only kidding. Maybe not. We'll see what happens.
Credit to my mentee and dear friend.
Oh my gosh.
John Trappell did that. He had me taste it a time or two, but it's all his work. And
this is one of the most incredible finished whiskeys I've had this year. It is awesome. that is some. So I got to try your port finished one that was done. Which was the first distiller release. But then when I heard Madeira was coming and a rye, I was like, come on, guys, this isn't even fair. Like, that's not fair. So if anybody got that bottle, you're very lucky. That's going to be probably a top 10 whiskey for me this year. And it's not even close. All right.
That's John's doing. So.
Oh yeah. Thank you so much, John. So, all right. Let's get into 8, 9, and 10. Let's see where we get.
Let's see what we got left. All right. Okay.
Oh, 8 smells like snozberries. Don't write that down, Nancy. That's not a real note.
I couldn't help myself.
Wow. Very, very fruit forward to me on this one. I'm going to taste it because I'm curious if this is what's going to do on the palate here. Nancy, number 8 might have the best mouthfeel of the night so far.
Wow. Okay.
That is very thick and rich on the palate. Love the texture of that one. It sticks to the sides of my tongue. Absolutely love the texture of that one. It has like this molassesy, gosh, that might be the sweetest.
It is pretty
It's
sweet.
very sweet.
Yeah.
That is straight up molasses, borderline liquid cream soda extract. Yeah. It's buttery. It's rich. This also gives me that. Maybe this goes along the line of like that Rancio note, where it's like that very rich nuttiness profile that it has,
Yes.
but it's all coupled with that sweetness. That one is fantastic. It is sticky. It is, yeah, that's really good.
That's
really, really good. This is a I don't want to offend anybody, but this is a fat kid whiskey right here. It just tastes like candy and syrup and deliciousness. It's just like, I'm sorry, Nancy. Oh, it's so good. Oh my God. Nancy had to take off her glasses for that one, folks. Oh my gosh. Wow.
I thought I was going to spit out everything.
That is sticky sweet. Oh, that is so good. Oh my gosh.
Too funny. That's
the fat kid in me loves that whiskey. Jesus.
hey, me too.
But honestly, like in all seriousness, the texture of that is on another level. Like that might be the best texture out of all the ones we've had. There were probably a couple that have gotten close, but that one I feel like really coats the palate. That one is really nice.
Awesome. Okay.
I'm digging that one. All right, let's go to darkness.
Woo!
Number 9. I'm excited to try this one. Oh wow! So this might be the most sherry forward I've smelled so far. All of them, I got to taste it. But this is all like dark raisin milk chocolate to me so far in the palate. Black raspberry. Almost like a baker's chocolate, like a bitter chocolate.
Yeah. There's something to me that's a little bittersweet. Not in a non-pleasant way, but it is kind of like a baker's chocolate, I think.
Wow, but the palate goes like berries and cream with like peaches on the palate for me.
Oh, I could see that, and I know why. Yeah, okay.
I don't know if it's peach or apricot. What's the difference? What's peach and apricot? What's the difference? One's
well, they're two different fruit for efforts.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's darker. I think the peach note is there, but it's kind of taking a back seat to these. Man, I'm trying to pick out the fruit flavors I'm getting here. Again, it's very balanced. There's some spice there, but I think the fruit flavors are kind of overpowering it. This is like, my goodness, like being a farmer's market. It's just like dark fruits everywhere. It's so good. It's jammy. It's tart. Cranberry. Maybe that's what I'm tasting.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, I
can cranberry or like pomegranate. There's something tart in it.
pomegranate. That's it. Kind of that sweet sour thing, kind of like a maybe like a pomegranate syrup.
That's exactly what it is. It's like that sweet sour pomegranate syrup note. Yes, that's what I'm grabbing in this for sure.
Okay. I'm gonna take that down. Yeah, that's that. I think that, but between your dark raisin, baker's chocolate, and pomegranate syrup, I think you've nailed that one. I mean, that's
a dessert in a glass right there. That's delicious.
Totally what I get.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Holy crap.
Nice.
Yeah, it almost like transitions into like balsamic vinegar a little bit because of that sour sweet like juxtaposition it has. That's really interesting.
Yeah, that's yes, yeah, sweet sour, but like a aged balsamic vinegar.
Yeah,
I could absolutely see that.
That's so good. That one might be the most. I got to go back to my notes here. I have like notes for days, but that one's really rich. Like the one before it was rich, but in a different way. It was richer in terms of sweetness. This one is richer. This one is richer as far as like dark flavors go. It gets into like that again, that balsamic. It's very rich. Balsamic vinegar, the pomegranate, everything that's a strong flavor with those sweet and sour notes that you would pick up is really prevalent in this whiskey. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's a fun one.
I like that one. I like that one a lot. That's a top tier for me in this flight. I like that a lot.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Last but not least,
number 10. All right.
Ooh, yep.
Guys, we're gonna cut off the donations at 10:45 here, so you guys have 7 more minutes to get your donations in to win one of many prizes tonight. So get your last minute donations here. 10:45, we'll cut off the donations, or at least, excuse me, if you want to donate further after 10:45, though, we're gonna cut everything off because we have to get through the names for all these giveaways. So. Thank you guys so much for the support. I think we're close to about $3,000 tonight, which is amazing. So
that's fantastic. That's
all right. Number 10, I should say. This one is getting back into like that beautiful Joseph Magnus balance.
Okay.
You know what? I might need to reset here. This one is this number 9 was so rich. I feel like it's just sitting on my palate. I need to cleanse out a little bit. Parker Sutton, when is the Still Awesome pick coming? That will be our Still Awesome picks. We did 2 barrels. That one is being picked up. So we should have that in the next several weeks. So close. Master Journey Whiskey Club members, we have our Ben Holiday picks coming out here this Friday. If you've never had anything from Ben Holiday, these will be incredible options for you to try. They're cask strength. They're 7 years old. One of them is actually a little over 7 years old, and they're just incredible whiskeys. Talk about texture. Great textured whiskeys for 7 years old. So
they took some courses with me some years ago too.
All right, so there you go. It's got the mark of quality from Nancy Fraley. There you go.
Yeah, that's very, very proud. Yeah, I've never actually worked with them before. I mean, outside of them taking my maturation, warehousing, and blending class, but I'm they've told me that they've taken a lot of what I do, and so I'm.
So I have 2 notes. I have 2 notes on this one that are jumping out.
Yeah, sure.
Gingerbread and oak on this one.
I'm going to lead the witness again, but do you get anything kind of like cherry cola on it? I definitely get the gingerbread.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's like gingerbread / cherry, like a
So when I think cherry, I think more of like a tart cherry on this one.
Mm.
Not so much like a dark cherry, but I could see the cherry cola in this after you said it. So here's where my mind goes, Nancy. I think gingerbread, I think cherry cola, I think old school MGP. So we'll find out what number 10 is, but that's where my mind goes with this one. Because those are some of the old school MGP profiles that I absolutely love. So I'm really curious if that's what we have here.
All right. Okay. So yeah, I can't wait to answer that question. That'll be fun.
Yeah, gingerbread, cherry cola.
Yeah, that's
heavy nutmeg and clove on here for me too. Well, not heavy so much on the clove, but the nutmeg I could see a little bit here.
Well, that kind of to me goes with the gingerbread, kind of like a Christmassy type of.
Yes.
If you will, that's I've got a lot of that going on.
And one other little note here. Number 10, I think, so far out of all of these, might be the most drying on the back end of the palate.
Okay,
it's kind of like it's kind of sucking the moisture out of the back of my palate. I don't really think I got that with some of the others, but this one, I think that ginger is just really strong, and it's just kind of, or the baking spice, almost when you drink, or not that anybody does this, but if you take like a dry spice and put it on your tongue, and it really takes the moisture out of it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
You seeing it? Are you getting any of that all in your palate? Just a little bit of dryness?
It's very I not like super dry, but it definitely I would totally agree that it's very drying.
I also think it's the most oak prevalent. Like some of the other ones that we've tasted have such rich fruit flavors or citrus flavors, but this one I think is the most oak forward that I've tasted, at least tonight. I'm really getting that nice oak profile. It's a very good sweet oak, but coupled with that gingerbread, the cherry cola, it's just a little bit drying on the back of the palate. But I don't mind it because it's so flavorful in the mid palate. So
I don't mind it, but I probably find it the most tannic.
Yes. Yeah, tannic is actually the perfect word. That's what it is. It's tannic.
How it kind of sucks the moisture.
Yeah, it just sucks the moisture right out of your palate for sure. Yeah.
Well, all right. So you don't have to. I mean, unless you want to rank things.
Okay.
All right. What I do want to know is there is an actual batch 1. There is the most recent batch 323. Do you want to venture to guess what the first batch is and what the last batch is?
In these 3 or in the whole flight?
The entire thing. I don't know.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's crazy. Okay.
That's
so you have the first batch ever in here?
Yes, batch 1, which, by the way, batch 1 has a little bit of the 1892 original Magnus in it. So the very very first batch I did, I mean, granted it's not a lot,
Oh wait, so batch 1 though, you had 9-year MGP, if I remember correctly. You had 18-year MGP, right? And then you had, wasn't it like 9, 18, and 10, something like that? Am I remembering that correctly?
20% 9-year, which was the the regular Joseph Magnus triple cask. 11-year is the majority of the blend. Okay. With a little bit of what would have then been 18-year to 21. So the majority of the blend is 11-year-old 36% bourbon. Honestly, if I was just a betting man, just going with what I know, with like old school MGP to me, what it tastes like, it would actually be number 10, because number 10 to me has
It's got the age in it. I get the oak. I get the tannins. I get that gingerbread cherry cola note that I get on a lot of older MGPs. So,
Okay.
I mean, that would be my guess. But I'm not. But I could also make a case for number. Let me go back to my notes here. Sample number, man. Not that one. I don't know if I'd go that one. I mean, I might go all the way on the opposite spectrum, Nancy. Go sample number 1 because it was so deep and rich with those dark fruits.
Okay.
There could be some really good age there. It was savory. It was spicy. I was getting that rancio note we talked about in number 1. We were getting the raisin. I mean, that thing was so rich to me on number 1.
So we want to say maybe, and the batch number 1, and it's okay if you don't know like the exact one, but kind of what I'm hearing is might be like batch 1 and 10.
Yeah, those would probably be my guess, just based off of how deep and rich those were. I think 10 above all else would be my main guess, just because of the again, the tannic notes to it, the cherry cola, the gingerbread. To me, that screams old school MGP. But if it's not, I mean, my goodness gracious. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, sample 3 was kind of like that dark fruit blueberry bomb, which I absolutely loved as well. But to me, that doesn't. I mean, that could be any Joseph Magnus cigar batch to me, because depending on what you get, some of those fruit flavors come through.
Yeah.
But the reason why I'm just picking 10 is because to me, like the DNA of like an old school MGP bourbon kind of screams out on number 10 more than anything. So that's what I would pick.
Okay. So if I'm hearing you right, batch number 1 is batch. Is sample 1 or sample 10.
Sample 10 to me I would guess to be maybe batch 1 because of that old school nature and the tannic oakiness it has. That's what I'm guessing.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Most recent batch or batches in the 300.
So you're saying batch 323?
Yeah.
Okay. Is?
You tell me.
All right, you want me to pick batch 323? Okay. That's all right. Let me go for that here. Okay. So guys, just so you know, watching, I have not tasted batch 323 yet. So I'm gonna go with this is tough, Nancy. I mean, this is like a shot in the dark here. If I had to go off of what my kind of a newer, if this was the newest batch, you know what? I'm gonna say batch 9, just because I'm hoping it's 9, because 9 is that pomegranate balsamic vinegar deliciousness, and if that is the latest batch, I would go crazy for that. However, which one did I call the fat kid batch? Was that?
I'm going to spit out again.
Oh, that was batch 8, right? That was batch 8.
Yeah.
Part of me hopes it's also batch 8. Part of me also hopes it's batch 8.
I love that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, part of me hopes it's batch 8 as well. So I'm gonna say batch 8 or 9 as these last 3, as far as like the run, like in that sample set. I think all 3 of those are really special. So if you have some sort of old batch and new batch in any of those 3, I'm gonna be freaking floored. So I can't wait. So let's. All right.
Oh man. Okay. So just real quick too. My apologies for my dog going nuts.
Oh, it's okay.
If you could just put your top 3 in here.
Oh, top 3? Okay, yeah. I actually think that was
going to be number 6, right?
What's that? It's not going to be 6. 6 is going to be last. I'm telling you now.
Yes, I know.
Will be last. All right, so I starred. So I had a feeling you were going to ask this. So I starred kind of my favorite ones here. So I'm going to do them again real quick and just take my favorites.
Okay.
So I have sample 1.
Okay.
Sample 3.
Sample 3.
I gotta say, I really did enjoy sample 4 with that orange blossom honey, that chili pepper. It was just so different. And I'm gonna go Fat Kid Batch.
Fat Kid Batch is that's 8, right?
That's number 8.
Yeah. Okay.
And then you have, obviously 9 and 10. These are kind of my top. Yeah. What do we have here? 1, 2, 3. These are my top 6. The rest were good, but I think these were kind of the standouts. So if I had to rank them, but man, I forgot. Sample 3 is just like all blueberries too. That one was so good. You're killing me, Nancy.
Mission in life is
yeah. Nancy wants me to fall out of my chair.
Well, you made me almost spit up, so fair is fair.
This is how I feel, Nancy. I'm in a glass case of emotion. I'm in a glass case of emotion. Okay.
All right.
Here we go. Let me try to rank these here. Okay. I think, man, number 9 for me is so freaking special.
Yeah. All right.
Gosh, I love number 9. It's just so rich and it's different. I'm saying number 9 is my number 1. Number 10 might be second. Or do I like the Fat Kid one more? Yeah, I'm going number 8 as number 2.
Fat Kid, okay. So that's number 8.
The Fat Kid Batch. I know that's not what you called it, but that's what I'm calling it tonight.
It's good. We're going with Fat Kid. Okay, so that's
the Fat Kid blend.
Number 2.
As far as these here, so we have number 1. I'm gonna just face these towards me here. Number 1, number 3, number 4, number 10. Oh, I do have 3 in here. Okay, thank God. So number 3 was the Blueberry Bomb.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that is so good. So I don't know if you can sense a pattern here, Nancy, but the darker, the better for me. I love those dark, rich flavors, to be honest. And
I agree. And you know what? I did too. And my apologies, but what was your number 3?
Number 3 I haven't called out yet. I'm getting there.
Got it.
I think number 3. Number 3 is going to be number 10.
All right. Okay. So
yeah.
Number 10.
Great finish. Love the ginger. Love all that. So those will be my top 3. So you asked my top 3. There they are. Number 1. So I have for number 3, my favorite is sample 10. Number 2, my favorite is sample 8. And my number 1 is sample 9, which happens to be in the mash and drum glass, which is kind of apropos. I like that.
9 or number 1 is sample 9. Number 2 second place is sample 8. Is that right?
You got it.
And number 3 is sample 10.
You got it.
All right. Well,
and Michael, you are right. In 1970s, we preferred being called husky, not fat. Yes, I was a chubby kid because my grandmother used to feed me 2 pounds of pasta every night, so I had to shop in the husky section.
Ouch.
They don't say husky anymore. They just call you a fat ass, unfortunately.
Let's not go there.
Yeah, that's good. We'll just cut it off here. Okay, email me list. Okay, I think I got it. Oh, all right, Joe, if you're watching, I got the list. I'm gonna throw this in the wheel of names, and we'll be ready to go. Perfect. Okay.
Okay. So in your honor, I'm going to drink a little bit of sample 9 because that was your number 1. So I'm going to kind of finish off with that one.
This is going to be epic because you're going to reveal what batches these are, and I cannot wait to hear what these are. And also your explanations, because we do have questions on some of these. I put question marks, basically what you said, where some of these crazy flavors were coming from, and I just want to hear your insight on where these are. So yeah, I can't wait to hear this.
God, this is going to be so fun. I'm thrilled about this. Okay.
Okay.
So,
well, do you want to start with the ones that kind of, you know what, I got to hear it. Let's start with sample 6, the funky one. First of all, Nancy, what happened? What happened to sample 6?
So,
oh shit.
That is batch 160. So in the batch, kind of the 100 batches, we have some two things going on. So some flavor drift from the MGP stock.
Okay.
And also, and we could never prove this, but I could taste it. We also had what I can only surmise is some, God, I hope I don't get fired for saying this. I think some bottling line contamination. So, with that one, you know, that kind of dog shampoo, artificial fruit note.
Okay.
I think came from one of our RTD lines, ready to drink, and there was just something going on and around those batches that I didn't initially catch, and when I did, oh boy, I mean, yeah, we just really kind of changed our process and, you know, made sure not to do that. So that one I think is faulty. God, you know, I hope I have a job.
I mean, listen, flavor drift happens. I mean, it's probably. Do you think that happened? Did something happen after you blended it that just kind of went funky? Or
the flavor drift happened with so I don't know, it's right around the time that Greg Metz left MGP.
Okay.
And I've noticed it in MGP stock ever since that it's not quite what it used to be. I mean, that it's a lot fruitier, and I get kind of notes of kind of like hoppy type of notes, like remember me talking about hops earlier, and there's just something that's different about it that's not classic MGP.
Okay.
So and it's something I've noticed a lot in the current stock.
In those just in those 100 batches, or you're even saying currently now you're seeing it?
No, well, in those 100 batches, but because we have now at Magnus, we've got once again we've got Greg Metz era bourbon. So there's been some kind of flavor drift after Greg left and after Master Blender Pam Soul left.
Mm-hmm.
That I've noticed. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's there's something very noticeable that's happened when you've kind of had a, for want of a better word, God forgive me for saying this, but a regime change.
Okay.
So,
I mean, that's fair.
There's, and which is not uncommon to happen in places. I'm familiar with MGP going back to the 1980s, and I can see differences between when former master distiller Larry Ebersold was there to Greg Metz, and kind of through the years you can kind of see differences. And I've probably had thousands upon thousands upon thousands of MGP casks that I've blended. Maybe or hundreds of thousands of barrels at this point. So you kind of see changes. So anyway, that's something was definitely going on with 160. And
okay, let's get
and I want to put it out there too, because I know there were some batches around that where other people saw.
I mean, I could see that. It definitely stood out from the pack, and I think probably a lot of people tasted that. So I could totally understand your explanation, a little bit of your trepidation into kind of explaining that. It's probably hard because you blend these things, and unfortunately, that, like you said, it just kind of went off the rails a little bit on you.
It did. I did the best I could with it, but these things, that's the thing about blending is, in real life, you don't always have, it's an agricultural product. You get what you get out of it. That makes
All right,
sense.
so let's go to sample. So we talked about sample 6.
Right.
Some of the other ones that didn't quite make the top tier. Let's go to sample 2. Sample 2 was the one that I said had like a fall leaves like note to it, which was really interesting. So tell me about sample 2.
So sample 2, and I'm gonna just pour a little bit of it. Let me ask you, did you like it?
I did. I actually thought it had a really nice sweetness to it. The fall leaves note was kind of like a nice reminiscent throwback for me. I thought it was sweet, thought it was balanced. My notes here say heavy vanilla, the fall leaves note, really nice charred brown sugar notes, almost tropical at times. I enjoyed it. It just didn't have the robustness and the darkness that some of the other ones did.
Yeah, fair enough. So this is actually the most recent batch. It's 323.
This is 323. Okay.
56.1% ABV.
Okay.
And it's and now we're back to mostly so all the components now from about batch 280 or so are all over 8 years old again. So this one is it's was just released I think back in May or June, but it's the oldest batch to date. And
yeah, I mean it's really good. Again, like for my palate, it doesn't get into those super dark flavors that I like. But as far as balance goes, I wrote down here extremely well balanced, which is what I look for in a Joseph Magnus.
So soon you'll be seeing one of its sister batches that I think might come from, if not the same coupe mare, it's the coupe mare right before that. So
Okay.
So yeah. Okay. So tell me what you want to know next.
So let's go to number. So we did 6. We did. What was that? We just did 2.
Yes.
Yeah, we did 2. Let's go to sample number 7. So 7 was the coconut banana bomb, which I really enjoyed. Actually, it was just different. It reminded me of that pirate cask.
Okay, and if I recall, on number 7, you said that you think this was MGP or where were you going with that?
I think that's one of the Barton batches because whenever I get banana, I think Barton.
You are absolutely right, my friend. So this is batch 68.
68. Okay.
A healthy 65.14 proof.
Ooh. Okay.
And you know what? I was actually I thought about pouring the Darth Vader batch. But I thought, you know what? That's going to be too freaking obvious. So I thought, you know what? I'll get another one that's like, the proof is just like right below that. Yeah. I think that one is 66. But anyway, so yeah, that one is to me classic Barton's. You get the bananas Foster, coconut notes in it too.
I love the toasted coconut note because it's like I know we were kind of joking around about like the Malibu and the suntan lotion, but I really feel like it was more of a toasted coconut. It's a little bit darker, and I really like that flavor when I get it in bourbon sometimes. Mm-hmm. And when you kind of couple that with like the bananas Foster, the brown sugars, it's really good. I mean, it's definitely a different profile than what you would think with Joseph Magnus. Sometimes I think people look for that dark raisin chocolate type of vibe. But I actually like when you get some of like these rummy coconut, almost bananas Foster characteristics. I think that's what makes it kind of interesting.
Yeah, so that would have been the time of around that batch, so somewhere between your Darth Vader batch, 58. This is 68. That time I was probably in the very height of the Barton stock, and so the entry proof on the Bartons is 125, but these barrels have been through 3 maturation conditions. So it started off in Kentucky, then went to Virginia, and then from there to Michigan. So, but when they were in Virginia, they really the proof just started jacking up.
Oh, it really spiked up. So is that where we saw kind of the increase in the proof points?
Yes.
Okay. Because I know somebody in the chat had a question about the fluctuating proof points. So that makes sense. When it gets to that point, that's when the proof points really, and that makes sense because Barton not only is high rye, but they go in the barrel at 125. You get those Virginia clients. I mean, they're going to spike. That makes a lot of sense.
So it was at Belmont Farms, and where the majority of the maturation happened on those Barton casks, and actually it kind of spiraled out of control, and that's why now you probably heard Jason about the hazmat, the liver bruiser product.
Yeah, the liver bruiser, which I oh my gosh, that was the greatest name for a whiskey ever.
I don't know if they're actually going to name it that's my name for it, because the moment I take a lab sample sip and my liver is quite literally in pain. Yeah, that's the 160 proof 3-barrel sample.
Wow.
And I just watch these things just, over the years. I do cask samples, or, and analyze them a couple times a year, spring and fall. And the proof just kept on going up. And it's like, oh my God, what am I going to
Oh my God, when is it going to stop? Yeah, I hear you.
So anyway, yeah, that's going into that product. But I mean, you can see the batches from about one. I started using the Bartons, so batch 115, and I'm still using the Bartons. By the way,
Okay.
it's people think I quit using that. No, I didn't. But the whole plan all along was when the 36, the original base of Magnus Cigar Blend came on again online, which was the 36% MGP rye bourbon. That I was just waiting for that stock to come of age, essentially. And but I still have Bartons, I still use it in cigar blend. It's just not a major component, like those.
No, yeah,
were.
absolutely.
So
yeah, and listen, nothing against the Barton bourbon. It's fantastic, especially when it gets up in age. I mean, it's delicious stuff.
Approved.
Tell me about sample number 5, which was, I wrote, probably one of the most balanced out of the entire group. Very spicy, very sweet. There was some dark fruit notes. There was some allspice. There was some black pepper here. This one has a very beautiful balance to it. Which batch are we looking at?
274 at 80.
Oh, that's a later batch. Wow.
58.4 proof. So that's been only in maybe this year or late last year. Again, my middle-aged brain can't remember exactly when it was released, but it's a very recent release.
5, like, you could have told me 5 was an older batch and I would have believed you. I think 5 is fantastic.
So that's where I wanted to get back to where things are kind of back to where I'm not saying every batch is the greatest thing since sliced bread, but just that we're getting very much back to what the batches were originally.
Yeah.
1 to 14.
Mm-hmm.
With the MGP stock. So that's what I got that you had was rich, minty, sage leaf, burst of fruit, the most balanced. So that's a very recent batch.
I love that batch because not only is it, so when you're thinking about the batches, not only is this one more current, but I also think out of the many batches I've had recently, that one really stood out. And I'm actually really happy that that's a recent batch, because if that's the line that we're getting here with the cigar blends, then that's a good thing, because that is really, it's a perfectly balanced version of sweet, spice, savory, all in one pour, which is great.
Well, thanks. Yeah, that's about when we got to the 200s, kind of about 220 or so was kind of where I felt like we were starting to get back where things were originally, and I feel like we're really kind of where the original stuff came from. But that's awesome. Yeah. That's a very recent batch. Yeah.
All right, Nancy. So we're going to do a quick rapid fire here because we're at 11:15. I know it's getting late. We want to do some of these giveaways. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to call out the number here, and you're just going to tell me the batch number. You ready for this?
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to go down the line from my top 6 here.
Okay.
So number 6 was sample number 4, which was the that was the orange blossom honey little bit of a barbecue smoke to it. Absolutely love that one. What batch are we looking at?
128.
Woo, 128.
That's when we start to see the beginning of the flavor drift from MGP.
So that makes a lot of sense because that was very MGP heavy, like to me. Like if there was a batch in here that tasted, I can obviously batch 10 to me had the gingerbread cherry cola, but if you're talking about the rye MGP influence, that was all number 4. The orange, the ginger, the honey, all of that was very heavily integrated in that blend.
Yeah, and that would have been I think that was during the majority of that blend would have been during a barrel shortage. So a lot of that comes from Kelvin cooperage. But
yes.
Yeah, to me that's very S3 fruity. Yeah, the minty orange blossom honey. But yep. Yeah, that's kind of that flavor drift era. So,
I don't mind that flavor drift. That actually was pretty delicious though. I mean, again, I just think it comes down to whatever preconception people have in their heads of what their Joseph Magnus Cigar Blend should be. I think that's what really kind of drives people's opinions of it. Because again, like we've seen tonight, we've had so many different flavors throughout each and every batch, which I think was really eye-opening. Not only do you have the dark fruit flavors, the blueberries, the raisins, the dark chocolate, but then you get into the orange, the pineapple, the coconut. These are all over the map. So I think it goes to show you to like do your research when it comes to Nancy releases all these amazing flavor notes that are apparently spot on. So if there's yeah. So
that said, I will say the batches around there are where all of a sudden this myth came out that Magnus was only using 4 or 5-year-old bourbon came out.
So these orange blossom honey like type notes where it's a little bit more rye heavy is where these rumors kind of started.
Yes, that's where the rumors started, and I can assure you we never. I mean, I would have, cut my own head off before we used distillate, that of that age. So that's not true, and this is kind of like my chance to explain what really happened.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, let people know. I mean, I think people like to spin their own narratives. Whether it's, I mean, that happens anything in today's time, but even in whiskey, you can't get away from it. But if you want to. This is the time to kind of explain all that, and that is not what's happening here. So,
well, that's okay. So that's what was going on at that one. So that's sample 4 at 58.11 proof. Excuse me, ABV.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Hit me up.
All right, so let's go to sample number 3. This was the blueberry batch, which I really liked. Where are we with this one?
All right, so this is batch 14. This is
older batch.
What made the blueberry? Well, it is it's a different yeast strain. It's Q yeast. So so what most people think of with the MGP is what we call the V yeast strain. So, years ago, when Four Roses and, what's now MGP or Ross and Squibb was owned by Seagram's, they all shared the same yeast strains. So, so the only one to this date that is still kind of kept common between them is V yeast, but Q yeast is something that MGP almost never, if ever, distills anymore. And back in 2006, they did a distillation of that, and so it's with Four Roses, it's known as being very floral, but
yes.
in this MGP expression from 2006. It's actually it had a lot of fusel oils.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it also had a lot of fruity notes, and it was at that time in batch 14 I was having to use a little bit of this Q yeast that we had bought. Well, at that age, it was only that would have been it was distilled in 2006. I would have been using this in 2018 or 19 or so. It wasn't quite its prime, but
Okay.
just an FYI, if I don't know if you've had the Murray Hill Club special release number 4.
No, it's one of those bottles that everybody has been telling me to taste and try to find, but my search has been futile. I haven't been able to find a bottle of that one at all. So yeah, unfortunately. But everyone is telling me how amazing that Murray Hill is.
The secret sauce is the Q yeast, because it needed so much time. 17. It's almost 18 years old, but it needed all that time to kind of become what it is now, and now it's beautiful. I mean, it used to be really funky and horrible, and well, I shouldn't say horrible, but it needed more time to oxidize and mature. But anyway, that's what the secret sauce between the blueberry pie and such on about.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I mean, it's interesting you brought that up, because when I finally got to visit MGP, they explained that the entire connection between Four Roses and the yeast strains and actually how they label it. I found that fascinating. If anyone sees one in Michigan, please hit me up. I want that Murray Hill Club immediately. So thank you so much.
So totally a yeast strain thing, and not as much a barrel issue.
Look at that. Blueberries. Love it. All right. Number 4 was sample number 1. Spice, nutty. This is the one that Rancio really came to the forefront for me on this sample. So what do we got for number 1?
So sample 1 is batch number 1.
Oh! Wow. That was one of my guesses, 10 or 1.
Yeah. So batch number 1 and the proof, or the ABV, by the way, is the lowest of every cigar blend that's ever existed. It's
okay.
50.36.
So when I tasted the first 4, which one did I say was the highest proof?
You got that right. You said sample number 4, which was batch 128.
Mm-hmm.
And you got sample 1, which is batch 1, as the lowest proof. So what I did is I put batch 1 as sample 1, and I put the very latest batch as number 2.
So I guessed that the number 1 was. So I got the lowest and the highest right on those first 4. Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, very, very well done.
Okay, I dig it. Sample one is honestly, that sample kind of set the stage for the night, because it really was like the perfect amalgam of, I really feel like everything that Joseph Magnus Cigar Blend offers, which is the savory, the spice, the sweet, the dark fruit, and that nuttiness. I think that's the benchmark. I mean, it's delicious.
Yeah, that's, and I love that nutty quality. Mm-hmm. That one has probably spent the most time in an Armagnac barrel, because it was at the very beginning. We didn't know exactly what we were going to do with it. it was I was still trying to explain the concept of a cigar blend, and it just sat in its Armagnac cask forever. But I will say, even though it's only 50.36% ABV, every cigar blend has always been cask strength.
Yes.
Nothing has ever been watered down in this series. So, we've gone all the way from, 50.36, to 66% ABV, plus. So it's not, it is what it is. And I've just always wanted it to be something that falls where the cask fall.
Yeah, I totally agree. That is, out of all the samples between number 1 and number 10, those are probably the two quintessential batches I would like throw back to be honest. So, and speaking of number 10, let's go to number 10. That was my number 3. What batch is where we are with number 10?
Oh my God, the famous 20s, that batch 28 at 68% ABV. So here's the thing. You had that, it was old school MGP, if I'm correct. That is almost, not all entirely, but almost entirely Barton's.
Wow. So that's correct. So I have gotten rich cherry on Barton before, but that the gingerbread note, that in my head just triggers MGP. So the fact that that's Barton, that's really eye-opening to me. That's amazing.
So, just a quick clue in to anybody that's watching this, those first batches, although at batch 15, I was already using Barton's. You don't really see it yet in the proof. But that said, by the time that you get to 28 or so, you start seeing that the proof start going up. Anytime you start on these, you start seeing the proof go up. It's Barton's.
Actually, that should have been a good indicator, because 10 did have kind of a heavier finish, so that probably should have been my indicator for Barton for sure. That's a great call out for sure.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to my top 2.
All right.
Number 8.
All right.
That was the number 8 is Fat Kid Whiskey. What do we got for number 8?
So that is among the most recent batches. That is batch 315.
What?
That was just released.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm getting a little pour of that. So that wouldn't have been in the, I don't think that's in the same coupe mare as 323, but it's the coupe like immediately before it. So that I would have been working on that back in June, and it was just released, like two months ago, essentially.
Holy crap. That is a fantastic. I mean, that's my number 2 out of all these.
Yeah.
That is a fantastic, probably the best textured, as I said, out of everything. It's rich, it's thick, it's stickingly sweet. That is what's the number? I'm sorry, a 315 you said? 315.
And it's 54 point, no, I'm sorry, I did this in ABV, not proof. 54.02 ABV.
All right, let's go to, all right.
Yeah, I love the snozberries that crack me up.
Yeah, definitely snozberries there. All right, number 1 tonight goes to number 9. That was the bittersweet chocolate, pomegranate, cranberry, balsamic vinegary deliciousness. What do we have for number 9?
All right. Well, that's also a fairly recent batch. That is 226. Also at 54.46 alcohol by volume. So that your last, your number 1 and number 2 went to the current iteration of MGP 36% bourbon. So just as an FYI, we got a like totally fresh infusion of 36% bourbon from MGP.
So I gotta say, Nancy, are you kind of happy that my top 2 were later batches?
I'm relieved. I mean, and you know that it said I wanted to put in the good with bad, or show things that haven't been as great. I mean, it's would have liked, but that said, I'm thrilled that what I personally find, and it's not that you're going to find it or everyone is, but I find that the first 14 batches to me are very reminiscent of kind of what's going on right now, because the stock is very similar. I mean, it's almost identical. It's just the way that it finishes in the cask.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I gotta say, this is a
difference. So
I think this flight is what I was hoping to see. To be honest, listen, there's no denying those early batches of Joseph Magnus Cigar Blends are very special. I mean, there's no way around it. The middle batches, yeah, as we saw, there was definitely some flavor drift there. If there's some people out there that want to write it off because of that, I mean, yeah, you're spending $200, $250 a bottle on it. I can see that being frustrating. But as we're getting down the line here, my top 2 batches were pretty recent batches. So it's not like you're missing out. It's not like you're skipping, you're kind of disparaging the newer batches, thinking it's a certain way when it's not. And that's what blind tastings do. And I think that's what Nancy's goal was. And as we see here, even though there are some very good batches that were on the older side here in the top tier, my top 2 batches were pretty recent. And this was completely eye-opening, and I don't think many people get to try cigar batches like this. And I think that's also part of the equation you have to put into it, Nancy. Not everybody gets to get a bottle of Joseph Magnus Cigar Blend consistently, or wants to spend the $200, $250 on a batch. And when they do, if it's something like one of those 100s where we saw the flavor drift versus the older batches versus some of the newer batches, for that type of money, that could turn some people off. But either way, I don't think, whatever your pricing is, whatever people want to pay, whatever your budget is, I get that part of it. That's very personal. It's very subjective. However, what's not subjective is the time and the care and the blending and you can't take one batch that you have that you thought was not that great and kind of blanket that over every other batch. That's just not the way to do it, because as we saw tonight in the blind, there are some really good batches here in the later releases that are coming, and they're going to still be coming. So I can't wait to see what's next. Number 10 and number 9, that 226, I'm going to have to find one of those because that thing is delicious. So,
I can see if I can get you a little bit more of that.
Yeah, 226, but I'm sorry, what was number 10? I can't even read my own handwriting. What was that one?
Is batch 28.
28, number 10.
And the batches in the 20s were kind of legendary. You know, they
yeah, 9. Yeah, number 9 was 226 for anybody that wants to know. And number 8, which is my second place, was 315. So even a more recent batch. So there you go. There you go.
Yeah. And that's said, you know, I think we're kind of back to, and you know, the 10 years again is the minimum age, and you know, we're kind of back to where we were at the very beginning. The youngest component was 9 years old. So, you know, we're not, you know, we're, you know, back, but beyond that, so you know, the stock's just going to continue getting older. And so, you know, I'm really proud of, you know, kind of, you know, we kind of went through a little dip, you know, transition with stock.
I appreciate that you were really honest about that too. So,
but yeah, and you know, I think that's fair. You know, I've seen the reviews, and I've seen people that have, you know, had commentary on that stock and those, you know, those batches, and I felt like, you know, I want to put myself out there, you know, for, you know,
yeah, somebody's asking the blue. Yeah, somebody's asking the blueberry bomb. That was number 14. That's a much earlier batch, but there was the blue. What was the Blue Bell or something like that? It was called. That was a pretty more of a recent batch. That was just all.
Yeah. That was. Boy,
you called it Blue something, and I think that was like batch. I want to say it was batch 60 something. I can't remember exactly what it was, but
yeah, I'll have to look again, and I need to get back to my tasting notes and just said a quick thing, if you don't mind me, just I don't mean to go on and on here, but when a lot of people ask me about this when I do tasting notes, it takes me, so for about 6 batches is about 8 hours.
Oh.
To do tasting notes. So
to dissect it with your tasting notes. Because when you write them, they are very detailed, so that makes sense.
Yeah, and I edit, I re-edit, I retaste. I mean, I'm tasting, you know, I often do it like on a Sunday. I get up, you know, make some scrambled eggs or something and get to work on the tasting, but it takes me about 8 hours to do 6 batches.
Wow. Okay.
And so it's really labor intensive, and you know, I'm just doing that on my free time. And I know a lot of people ask me, you know, how about this, you know, when are we going to get to that again? And I mean, you know, I really want to, and I want to, you know, jump back into the game again, but it's a very labor intensive process, and you know, I'm doing that on my free time too.
Well, I mean, honestly, I think anybody here that's watching this or has read your tasting notes can appreciate how in depth you go. So I really appreciate that. Yeah, honestly, I can't thank you enough for what you sent me and this experience tonight. This was obviously an exclusive thing that we did together. Never thought in a million years. How did I do tonight? Was it kind of along the lines that you wanted? I hope I impressed somewhat.
You know, I wanted you to be entirely objective and you know, not influenced by me in any way. I mean, admittedly, you know, there were things I wanted you to find, and what you found, and that's so I'm thrilled with.
That's awesome. I thank you so much. This was very eye-opening, and yeah, anybody that thinks Joseph Magnus is, I don't know, doing something weird, these later batches were freaking incredible. So yeah, so Nancy's still making it happen, guys. So with that. All right, here we go, Nancy. So this is what's going to happen. I'm going to read off the winners tonight real quick because I know people – I got to get some names here. to get these bottles out to people for the for donating tonight. But in the meantime, this is what's going to happen, Nancy. Here we go. Top 5 tonight. Nancy, this is for you. Give me your top 5 favorite guitarists of all time.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm gonna let you noodle on that, and while you're doing that, I'm gonna roll the wheel of names, and we're gonna start giving away some of these incredible giveaways tonight. So here we go, guys. If you're hanging out, yep. All right, hold on a second. Let me get the wheel of names up. We are up and running. You guys see that? All right. Just so you know. So I'm going to move this aside here because I got to write a bunch of names down for all the winners. So Nancy, when you want, take it away. Give us your top 5 guitarists of all time.
Okay, so I'm just going to go intuitively here. Jimmy Page.
Jimmy Page, okay.
And I know I'm old school. I'm not as much into the new guys. Jimi Hendrix.
Okay, Hendrix.
Gary Rossington.
All right.
Oh man. Well, we're kind of down to the last 2.
All right. Well, before you do that, let me. You can think of your top 2 here. I'm going to spin some names here. This is for the Still Austin Rye from 21090, of course, which Nancy helped create. And this one goes to none other than Tom Farghese. Congrats, Tom. Tom, again, anybody that names comes up, please claim your prize. Email me at themashanddrum@gmail.com, and we'll get your bottle to you. Next up is the first $25 gift card from Drifting Drams for some great coffee. They are making some incredible deep, rich, dark roast, some blends, and here we go. $25 gift card goes to none other than Anthony Locklayer. Thank you so much, Anthony. Congratulations. All right, let's get to the next one. This is for another $25 gift card. This one goes to Michael Schneider. Congratulations, Mike. Boom. All right, next up is the Double Oaked Bourbon from Pursuit United. Oh, man, this is going to be good. Here we go. Let's see, who do we got here? It is Sean Siciliano. Sean Siciliano. Congratulations, buddy. Again, all the winners email me at themashanddrum@gmail.com. Next up is the Old Dominic Cast Strength #1 from Emmett Peacock. Or is it Elliot Peacock? Sorry if I'm pronouncing it. I think it says Emmett Peacock. All right, let's roll it. This one goes to William Hines. Congratulations, William. You win the batch 1 of the Old Dominic Cast Strength. Next, we have the giveaway from Lance. We have the Old Route 8 single barrel. Let's go with this one real quick. This one goes to Matt Thomas. Congratulations, Matt. Next up is the Middle West Dark Pumpernickel Rye, barrel number 201 from Andy Bolgiano. So, Andy, this is for the, this will be your winner here. Middle West pick. And the Middle West rye picks are incredible, so whoever gets this is lucky. Oh, man, Paul Piotrowski. Congratulations, Paul. And last one in this round is going to go to, again, this is Lance putting in the Old Forester single barrel proof rye. Oh, this is a good one. All right, let's see who gets this one. This one goes to Edward Johnson. Congratulations, Edward Johnson. All right, that's the first round. All right, Nancy, before we get into the next, my bottles here, who are your top two guitarists?
Okay, and I should this is we've got an echo going on right now, but no particular order of who my top guitarists are, and I've been watching the chat, and I'm not influenced by you. I'm just reminded by you. So I'm a huge Cream fan. Eric Clapton.
Oh, hell yeah. Yes.
One of my, I've seen him, for like the past 40 years. I've watched him in concert. I mean, he's just like, hands down, one of my all-time idols. So Eric Clapton. And then I would have to say Eddie Van Halen to also.
Oh, Eddie. Okay. I like it.
He added a whole new dimension to electric guitar. And, I'm a major introvert like Eddie. He used to love to just sit on his bed and, jam. And heck, I like to do that too. I'm not like Eddie. I don't have that kind of talent on, but that said, he would definitely be my honorable mention. What would be God, what's her name? Blues guitarist, plays slide, plays a Strat. You guys help me out. I'm sorry, my middle-aged brain is kind of.
They're helping out.
That's
if you see it in the chat, let me know. I'm gonna roll these names here. BB King. Somebody put BB King in there.
She's
no, Susan. Is this somebody named Susan?
Susan Tedeschi. No.
No. Okay. Trucks. Stevie Ray Vaughan. Santana Tedeschi.
She's been around for forever.
Joanna Connor.
No.
Sheryl Crow.
No. God, she's got red hair with a white streak.
Bonnie Raitt.
I don't know. I think of but Bonnie Raitt, but Bonnie Raitt too. Her slide and I could see that being very influential for sure. Tasty licks. So
all right, guys, I'm gonna run through the last giveaways here. Bear with me. I'm gonna shuffle these up. All right, first up is the Starlight Rum Finish Rye collaboration between me and It's Bourbon Night. Here we go. This one goes to Boomity Boomity Boom. It goes to Sean Kolkowski. Congratulations. All right, next up. This is for the Fiddler Toasted Bourbon from ASW. Absolutely fantastic distillery out of Atlanta, Georgia. This one goes to Eric Holmes. Congrats, Eric. Next up is my Copper and Cask single barrel pick from MGP. This is a 21% rye bourbon from MGP. Delicious, decadent whiskey. This goes to Mark Emanecker. Congrats, Mark. Next up is the Hughes Bella Bedford Toasted Rye. This is an 8-year rye whiskey, 95.5 from MGP Toasted. It's freaking delicious. This goes to Adam Farris. Congratulations, Adam. Next up is one of my sleeper bourbons last year. It's the Shanks bourbon from Michter's. This is a American whiskey. It's a butterscotch bomb. Goes to Adam Hess. Congrats, Adam Hess. All right. Next up is the Nashville Barrel Company pick called Rabbit, Pulling a Rabbit Out of the Hat. This is a last-minute single barrel that I made last year. Delicious stuff. This goes to Skylar Dixon. All right. Skylar Dixon, very good job. Looking zesty. Here we go. We got, this is Philip Travis. You just won the Bartown Stave Edition. That's a distillery only. So Philip Travis. Again, any of these winners, please email me at themashanddrum@gmail.com. All right, guys, we got 3 more. This one is for the Barrel Craft Spirits Armagnac finish, which is pretty apropos tonight. This one goes to Peter Donatato. Congratulations, Peter. We have next up is the Blue Note single barrel selection from one of my favorite stores in West Islip, New York, baby. This goes to Marshall Conico. And the last giveaway of the night, guys, is my coveted Russell's Reserve Warehouse K 10-year single barrel bourbon from Master Journey Whiskey Club. Here it comes. Who's going to get it? Nancy's going to win it. I think Nancy's going to get it. I'm only kidding. Let's go to the one and only Edward Johnson. Congratulations, Edward. All right, guys. That is it. We have closed it out. Thank you so much for all the amazing winners. Congrats to all the winners tonight and all the amazing donations that were made. I think we made it over about $3,500 tonight for our little giveaway, which is absolutely incredible. So thank you guys so much. Nancy Fraley, could you be any more legendary?
I don't know. Could I? That, one of these days, I'd love for y'all to meet my mentors, the French dudes.
The French dudes. Okay. Can we have them on at some point? Can we get the French dudes on?
I would love for y'all to have the French dudes. I mean, because that's like a whole other level. Set edit Darren Clary right now. Nancy Wilson. Oh, hell yeah, yeah.
I think it looks like that Edward said he wants to re-roll the Russells because he already won a bottle. So that's what we're gonna do here.
All right.
So give me 1 second here. We're gonna re-roll this one roll. All right, here we go. Here it comes. This is live. This is how live streams go. All right, we're crossing out EJ. It goes to. Well, he won already as well.
Oh.
We're gonna re-roll again. I want someone new. Here we go. Ocean Hayes. That's a new name. OH wins it. Congrats, Oishin. All right, there you go, guys.
Beautiful.
I think tonight was definitely an eye-opening experience, not only for the viewers, but for my palate, obviously, because this was challenging, and I prepared for this, and I just wanted to make sure that I did right by you, Nancy, because I know you asked me to do this, and it was it was an honor, to be honest. So thank you so much.
It was an honor back to have you do this. I mean, I've been excited about. I've been dreaming about this for a number of years. Us doing this thing. So I'm
all right.
super excited about it.
And Nancy, I don't know if you're traveling at the end of September, but I am doing a special meetup at Bardstown Bourbon Company the weekend of September 27th and 28th. So if you have the means to make it to Kentucky that weekend, I would love to have you to meet up with my patrons and just talk whiskey. If you're around, if you're traveling, I get it. I know your schedule's crazy, but I just wanted to put out the invite to you because I just appreciate everything you've done for the channel and for the whiskey community as a whole. So
that's let's get back privately on that.
Okay.
The next couple of months, I mean, I'm going to be on the road like 3 weeks out of every month. But that said, if it's possible and if I'm in the neighborhood, I'd love that. So.
All right, Nancy. Well, guys, big round of applause for Nancy wherever you're drinking. Just clap it up for her. Really, thank you so much, Nancy. I appreciate the insight and obviously these amazing samples. I can't believe I got to try Joseph Magnus Batch 1. Never thought I'd ever get to try that. So,
and you know what? The fact that it wasn't your favorite was really I was oddly happy about that. Actually.
Okay. I mean, again, it wasn't that it was, I mean, it was delicious, but that was kind of the baseline. That was like a really great baseline whiskey. So I loved it. Yeah. All right. So thanks again, Nancy. And guys, thanks for watching tonight. We had over 400, pretty much the most of the night. Thanks for all the donations. Thanks for the support for Lifeline of Ohio. Thanks for supporting Little Jack. And with that said, like I always say, it's not about the whiskey. It's the people you share it with. We'll see you right back here next week on the Master and Drum. Cheers, guys. Thanks, Nancy, again.
Thank you, my friend.